there's only 7, well, people will debate it, but there's practically like 7 stories, that's it. But we still buy from them. Like, you know, the hero's journey story will be pumped out for the rest of time, and kids and adults will both watch it and lap it all up and really enjoy it every single time. It's the finer details of it that allow it to be unique. Come on, man, like, the world has changed. We don't need to see like the reference to a reference. Like, did we really need a live action version of The Lion King? No, we didn't. What?
What surprised you most about, you know, starting and running your business so far?
Mate, how much tax? Like, what the fuck? You got an ex-girlfriend from about when you were 17?
Yeah.
Do they think of you in a good way? There's the answer.
I don't know, yeah.
Horrible question to ask you to prove the point.
Yeah. Welcome to the Feeling Content Podcast where we talk to founders and creatives about the ups and downs of running the business, about producing content, what's working and what's not working, and hopefully you can learn a lot from that. On this episode, I have with me Chris, founder of Pretty Decent, who is not just a graphic designer, but also looks at people's brands and how that actually works in reality, making sure that it's honest and it's consistent.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy. We've known each other not a long time, but I think we've been connected online maybe longer than what we're both aware of. But our paths also crossed offline as well, at a football pitch,
yeah,
which is where you'll probably find either one of us on a weekend. But for anyone who doesn't know yourself, Chris, and also who isn't aware of your business, Pretty Decent, just give us a quick summary of who you are and what you do.
Just, you know, a dad from the Midlands before anything else, but after that I run a small sort of boutique studio called Pretty Decent. We specialise in web and brand identity predominantly, but everything is sort of really underpinned by behavioural design, and sort of I'm really interested by what makes people tick mentally, because that will guide every single thing that they do, from brushing their teeth or not, to what they buy or not.
I know you've got your experience in what you do in regards to your art, your craft.
Yeah.
Is obviously older than the business.
Yeah.
What was the reason why you started Pretty Decent?
Personal reasons more than anything. So my daughter, she's 13 now, she's going on 14, and she really struggles in the school setting, at least in a mainstream context. And the setup of a sort of standard 9 to 5 working in a studio just wasn't working, and we've been in crunch positions before where it's like 9 till 9. It just wasn't working. Not for me, like, it was fine for me, but it wasn't working for her. And like I said, I'm a dad before anything else. So I took the decision to go to part-time because I'd managed to pick up a client in America. I wanted to be there for her, basically. I wanted to be able to just be available whenever I needed to. If she'd had any issues at school or she was struggling, I just needed to be there at that point. And that's really what started the business. There are secondary issues, like I don't like how traditional studios are set up. I think it's a bloated process. I think that a lot of them will reverse engineer the mood board to suit the thing that they made anyway. And it's slow and expensive. And I think for most people, especially in what feels like a perpetual cost of living crisis that goes up to business crisis, like that's a cost of business crisis as well. Nobody really wants to spend $4,000 on a big agency and then wait 2 weeks for an output. It doesn't feel right. So I just wanted to see if I could actually change that and sort of test the idea.
And the name itself, I find it really interesting. It sounds very deliberate, which, you know, based on the industry that you're in, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of thought that went into the name. Just kind of explain what the name's about and how it represents the business.
Yes, it's 3 strands. The things that we make are pretty. We do it for decent people. But when you put them together and you get the phrase Pretty Decent, it's sort of an antithesis to the industry, which is like self-aggrandizing. We're amazing at doing this. We're incredible. We're like, no, we're pretty decent. And like a lot of people can see that and go, that's a bit odd. That's the point. Like, I want you to think about it. Like, if you get it that far in that, I've already done it. I've already done my job. And that's the sort of basis behind it.
It's sort of like a bit of modesty as well, isn't it? It's
much needed modesty, I'd say, in a world that's like, in my opinion, pretty vacuous at the moment.
I love it, and again the logo as well. I think it's really clever what you've done with it, with the two, that colon and the D. Turns into like a smiley face, doesn't it? So
it does, but it is changing. So, So I mean, it's obviously it was a low key. sort of rebrand. But essentially, every time I start a project, I will go to the person, and I've got what I've made, it's called the Book of Decent People. And so they will sign the book with a drawing of a smiley face, the name, business name, a small thing that matters to them and what they want to see more of in the world. And now that I have enough of them, I've started to produce the smiley faces, and they are now part of my brand. So I'll replace what was essentially a placeholder with hand-drawn faces of all the people that I've served. And the idea behind that was, my job for a living, I tell people how they should look. So it was really nice to be able to give them that for me.
Yeah, it's really clever. I like the idea of that. Really good. So you've spoken briefly about being dad first, designer second, and a director third. How does that manifest in your day-to-day? So how does that shape your day?
I'll start by doing the dishes, mate. I think that's partner first, actually. It's a weird one, really, because we decided that life wasn't crazy enough, and we just got a puppy that's now 14 weeks old. So it's a case of like, I get 2-hour stints at the moment of like, right, can I get into hyper focus mode? As a man with ADHD, it sort of does. When I land it, it's fun because I'll be able to get a week's worth of work done in about 4 hours. But I do 2-hour blocks of like working, separated by an hour of housework or making sure I'm available if I need to be, or walking a puppy. Yeah. But it does help though, because I think when you start a business, I actually think one of the biggest things you realise is you're not as efficient as you think you are. Like, you waste a lot of time, especially when you're sat on your own in a room. And I think there's something to be said about, and I never thought I'd say this, I think there's something to be said about an office environment, because I think there's a tacit sort of hum going on that everybody's doing something, and if you don't do something, then you're out of place. So it sort of allows you to sort of keep going and going. But yeah, man, when you're on your own and you've got your own thoughts, and I'm quite a cerebral person, so I'll be doing something, I think, oh, what about that? And then it goes, what about that? And I have to stop myself. I try to do as much as I can within 2-hour blocks. Sometimes that might be 7 till 9 in the evening. Sometimes that might be like this morning on a Saturday, it was 4 till 6 because I woke up early. So it's one of those.
Yeah, you're doing well 2-hour blocks. I work 1-hour blocks.
Right,
so I
okay.
will actually sit down, start a timer, and I'll work for an hour, and then I have 15 minutes where I step away from whatever I'm doing, which is typically, I'm normally in front of a computer if I'm in the office. So I'll step away from the computer. I'll try and step away from devices altogether. Yeah. Even if it means just, going in the house or into another room, having a conversation with my wife or whoever's at home. Sometimes maybe walk the dog in that time, and then go back and work for another hour. And I tend to do that, but I stick to like one task at a time. Yeah. Okay. So being a business owner, you've normally got several things that you need to do. It'll be like, right, so for this 4 hours, I'm just going to edit this one piece. I'm not going to multitask because I don't believe in multitasking. I don't think it works, or it definitely doesn't work for me. And then I'll work on that for an hour, 15-minute break, same project again for an hour, for 15 minutes, for an hour, and then kind of rinse and repeat. Yeah. Okay. 2 hours is impressive.
I didn't say it was good. I didn't say it was a good job. I thought it was shit.
But it is hard though, isn't it? Because you do generally procrastinate, and I think like you're saying, like when you're in an office, you see other people working, that guilt will keep you grounded and keep you probably sat doing the task as well. Because like you say, you see other people do, like, well, I can't be the one walking around and getting teas and coffee. And
yeah, it's not like it's like a panopticon scenario where like all the all-seeing eyes over you, but there's a tacit feeling that actually if I don't do anything, I'm going to get looked at in a weird way, and that does help. I sort of miss it in a way, but like my phone, I've purposely left it in my bag, but even that's all, it's black and white. I know the people that designed it. They're there to grab my attention because I am the product. So I'll purposely use filters to try and get away from it.
Get rid of the reds and stuff. And
all of it. Literally, it's black and white.
My son has his set to black and white, actually. Yeah. Which I never knew why. Maybe that is the reason. He's very on it with a lot of stuff. He thinks a lot. But yeah, I know it frustrated my wife when she had to use his phone. So she's like, I can't recognise these apps. It's like, that just shows you how the brain works, because there's no colour. She couldn't identify which app to go to.
Also shows you how shit the logos are.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you'll see it from that perspective as well. I suppose when you try to fit everything, purposely on a small device all the time, you've got to get it pretty spot on. So you wasn't born a graphic designer. No. Yeah. Talk to me about how you got to where you are today with what you do.
Yeah, I was born a baby first. And basically, I did sales jobs for ages, man, which actually, when you reflect older, it's good because it gave me sort of like a baptism of fire of talking to people, cold calling and stuff like that. Eventually I managed to sort of wrangle my way into the social media team at EE, doing sort of like customer sort of handling their complaints. And I remember Stormzy like tweeted, EE is shit, right? And I was like, oh, man, I need to reply to this. And I wanted to reply to it saying like, got no bars. That's what I wanted to put. And the PR team was like, no, we're having this. And they did this some like horrific, you could clearly tell it was like, I don't want to like stereotype it. You tell it's just some like white guy that's never listened to rap like properly, and had done this like horrendous like 8-bar thing, and you're just like, oh man, that's so shit. What horror. And I was like, I need to be involved in that, because if that's the top, no way am I being like, no, I need to be at that table.
Your response, got no bars, like the
Perfect.
double meaning on that. Yeah.
And I was like, man, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm still vexed about it.
Yeah,
It's been great. But then so I moved from that, sort of lied on I embellished. I used marketing to sort of embellish my CV. So then I got a marketing role in a small bar in Derby called The Distillery.
Oh, yeah.
Did some decent work with them. Got headhunted as a group marketing manager for a larger sort of consortium of businesses. And whilst I was in there, I was enjoying it. One of them was a cafe on Friday called Oliver's. And I realised that when I was doing that job, I was like, because I had to do everything marketing, that included the production of materials. I was like, I fucking love this. This is great. So eventually got to the point where it's like, I hate spreadsheets. And my partner was like, you've never been to uni? I was like, yeah, no. She's like, why? I was like, costs loads of money. And she was like, yeah, but it's not real debt. It doesn't affect your life. I was like, huh? Yeah, I'm from a very working class background, so I'm not really like, I wasn't educated in terms of like the financial literacy side of life. She's like, yeah, it doesn't affect your credit score or anything like that. I was like, oh. So I went to uni, did my BA in graphic design and visual communications. Towards the end of that, my lecturer said, we want you to stay on and do a master's. Would you do that? I was like, yeah. So I stayed on and did a master's. And then when I finished the master's, they asked me if I'd stay on and be a lecturer. So I did that for a bit. Realised, the old adage of those who can't teach, no offence to any teachers out there, but, or those who can't teach do PE. So to the PE teachers. But there's a reason why I came here, and that was to go into that world and be part of that scenario. So I did. And that's how I ended up getting into the design industry. And it was great at the start. I ended up in a really nice agency in just outside of Manchester. Do really like good, meaningful work, and we're working on massive clients. And it was like my first week there, I had to deliver like a brand concept, and it was worth like 6 figures. And I was like, fuck, shit, okay. And then thank God, like it landed, and I was like, yeah, that felt amazing. I'm in the right job. So like I say, it was just outside Manchester, so it was an 1.5-hour commute each way every day. I worked from home twice a day, and that they were good with flexibility, like. But it was starting to kill me. It was affecting my relationship with my partner, because we were just like passing ships in the night. I was like, this isn't what I signed up for. Even though I appreciate getting a break in the industry, it's solid. So hard that you have to travel 1.5 hours each way, right? And I found an in-house role close to me for a global pipeline manufacturer, which is as exciting as it sounds. Fucking dreadful. But whilst I was there, we managed to take them through a global rebrand, which included them and like 7 of the 9 subsidiaries that they had. That was in 6 months. So it was a real good like feat to get in and then make some meaningful change for a business that was very, 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 very old looking. And then since then I went to a smaller agency in Derby, and then I was just like, okay, if this is an agency of this size operates in a certain way, very different to 50 plus, like account management is like on it, designs are separated, but they have a real good back and forth with the development team, and there's a real good like, connection between you all, and you're all at the top of your game and you all want to be the top of your game. Whereas in a smaller city like Derby, in a smaller agency, not everybody is an A player. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to be an A player. But I was uncomfortable with the ability to output at levels that I was happy with. And so eventually, if you care enough about anything, you don't really want to start putting your name to stuff. So again, that was part of the reason why I started up on my own.
Based on those experiences, what do you do differently? When setting up Pretty Decent, or what have you done differently to like more of a traditional agency model?
Yeah, it's good. I think it's a good question because it's really hard, because it's almost like entrapment, because the way that I talk about most bigger agencies, it's same shit, different font. What I try to do differently is I bed in with the question of just why, and I'm relentless with it as well, because I'll just keep asking why, like an annoying 4-year-old. Because outside of making money, there's a reason why people start businesses. And I'm really interested at the human side of that, because anything you do, anything you create, it comes at a genuine human cost. Time, like energy, like all of it. And it makes no sense to me that people would just be happy treating branding like an engineering problem. It's like, look, we've got the logo, it's neat, let's crack on. Where it's more akin to cooking. You can give somebody a recipe and all the ingredients, and they can still produce absolute fucking garbage, which they routinely will do. So you have to sort of come in and go, okay, well, what is it that you do? Why do you do it? And they go, they always do the same thing. They give you the corporate line of like, we wanted to be the best. It's like, fuck off. No, that's not true. Why are you doing this? Okay, we're doing it because we care about health. Okay, well, why do you care about health? Well, when I was younger, I was, depressed, and it was one of the things that pulled me out of it. Cool. Now we've got the real reason. Now we can have a proper discussion about why you do what you do. And that forms a much better way of sort of building out brand after that point. And I find that it's been way more successful for me and for them, because they feel deeply connected to what they have now, because it is them, but it also has to be correct for their audience well, and you have to find that.
And there's definitely crossovers there to what we do in regards to, especially photography as well, but video production. So sometimes we'll sit down and we've got to interview somebody, and like you say, once someone sits down, they've got lights and they've got the camera in them, and you ask them why they do something, they will go down what they want people to,
exactly.
What they think people want to hear, which is typically like the boring corporate kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you have to ask that question a few times. You have to reposition it at a different time to actually find out what is actually in here that's caused you to go down this route. And that's what we call in photography and videography like storytelling. And I'm assuming, obviously, in what you do, that storytelling comes out in that aspect as well.
We're all bound by story. There's only 7. Well, people will debate it, but there's practically like 7 stories. That's it. But we still buy from them. Like, the hero's journey story will be pumped out for the rest of time, and kids and adults will both watch it and lap it all up and really enjoy it every single time. It's the finer details of it that allow it to be unique. That's where creativity lives. It's in the details of how the execution is done.
And that's what Disney have jumped on into
absolutely.
the same stories, just packaged up slightly differently with Star Wars and Harry Potter's.
But I think that's why people don't like reruns and stuff. They don't like the remakes. It's like, hey, come on, man. Like, the world has changed. We don't need to see like, what's the word for it? Like a simulacra. Like, it's the what's it called? The reference to a reference. Like, did we really need a live action version of The Lion King? No, we didn't. What? But we're still going to make. And that's the frustration, because that's the same story could have been told in a different way, and has been told in a different way at least 4,000 times since The Lion King was done in the 90s.
To be a business owner, to be a founder, there's always a human cost. So how long have you been running Pretty Decent for?
About 15 or 16 months, something like that.
15, 16 months. So you're really new with being a founder.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what human costs have there been for you when starting with Pretty Decent?
The mental cost is ridiculous. Like, there's like, full transparency. Like, I had a 6-week run of nothing coming through the door, and I mean nothing. And it was about 2 weeks after I had to pay like a 17 grand corp tax bill. So I was like, oh, sick. Runway is effectively 0. Pants are down. What the fuck? And my partner, luckily my partner, she's amazing, and she was like, it'll come. I was like, when is it going to come? She's like, don't know, but it will. And it did. And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, she's always right. Like, for God's sake, could you be wrong? I don't want you to be wrong about this, but could you be wrong? But the cost is massive, dude, because I never labelled myself as just a designer anyway. I'm always I'm a deep person. I would like to say I operate at quite a high cerebral level because I like to think a lot. But when you are running your own business, you're a designer, you're a two-bit accountant, you're doing sales, you do everything, man. And it's like, I enjoy it because I have to learn new things, and that's what gets my blood flowing. It's like learning something new as a concept and going, was there a better way to do that? And then seeing if it works, and then iterating, which is, it's just another creative process. But it does come at a massive cost, and it's like the energy at the end of the day, where even if I'm just looking at designing a brand identity system for somebody, it kills you like mentally, because there's one that I've just finished. I sent it off last night, and I was like, it was doing my head in, because I was like, it's a beautiful client. They do tabletop RPG games, so like Dungeons and Dragons, as a therapeutic skill mainly for children in alternative provisions in school, or kids that have got additional needs, so like autism, ADHD and stuff like that. Because, you know, therapy assumes that talking to somebody face to face and looking directly in their eye is easy for everybody. It's not, right? So it's a great business concept.
Yeah. It's a skill you have to learn, I think.
Massively. But when you're a kid and you're already inside an institution that's not serving you, to find that help is really difficult. But then for me, it's like, okay, well, how do I convey that without doing some sort of fucking wizard or some dice, or do you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, how do you do that? And I got there in the end, but that was a horrible week process of going, what is it? And you have to finally find the thing and just distill until you get the rawest form of what it is, which happened to be, you lean on people. So it's italicized. And like that as a concept is wonderful, and it works, and it's justified, and it's them. But the process to get there came at a massive cost, because I'm there like, what do I do?
Do you go backwards and forwards with your client on that then, or is it very much on you to kind of pull that?
So like I said, this is why when we have the initial kickoff meeting, I'm quite ruthless in the amount of information that I'll get out of somebody, and it will get to sort of very deep levels. Now, I'm not going to push them and say like, you know, why did this happen to you? I'm not going to be like that. But if they allow me in, the deeper we go, the more meaningful the output will always be. And, you know, with that particular client, we share things like about ourselves, like, and I'm always open to it. I'm always going to be as open as they are. Sometimes I'm more open to let their guard down, sort of thing. And it's like I said, it's really important, because the more information you get out of that session, like it's gold. It really is.
What surprised you most about, you know, starting and running your business so far?
Mate, how much tax? Like, what the fuck? Like, so I get money comes through the door, and you get corp tax. I've got VAT. Then if I decide to move that over into my bank account, I've now got to pay tax on that, and there's tax on dividends. And then, you know, just like everything, like, fuck me, man, give us a break. So like, it's one of those weird things where, like, you know, now I'm on both sides of it, and I love it because I get a rounded picture of it. As an employee, I'm like, pay me more. Like, I'm good at what I do, pay me more. And then on their end, they're like, yeah, I would if I could. I'm like, yeah, okay, I do understand that.
You talked about the costs that the creative side can have on you in regards to time and, you know, stress, you know, when you're trying to work something out. If you made a comparison between the creative side and business side, which one do you think is probably the heavier weight?
In terms of like mental, like toll, creative, man. Absolutely creative. You're having to make genuine leaps of faith, like mentally, that other people can't do. Everyone's creative. I will obsessively say everybody is a designer. Everyone's creative. You can never tell me otherwise. However, the process in which you go from 0 to 1 is massive, because you have to, like I said, I've got from dices and wizards to leaning in a week. What does that look like? Well, it looks like 17 artboards of garbage before one thing goes. And I'm like, do you know what I mean? And that entire, and then like being there in bed, looking out the window, just going, that's a star. Stars are sort of related, and like you don't get to switch off for it, which is why I've like everyone would always ask like, what's your hourly rate? I'm not charging by the hour. What am I supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to send you an invoice when I had an idle thought in the shower? Like, it doesn't work like that. It's so absolutely, it's the creative process. The business thing, you can sort of, and there's no offense to like business development managers, accountants, all this, like absolutely, I mean no offense to it, but they're very left-sided things of the brain. They're very sort of like, there's a rule set, here's the numbers, or here's the input, give me the output. Whereas this is find the input, wrestle with it, give me 17 outputs, distill them to 1 or 2, and present it in a way people will understand and appreciate too. That's bigger sometimes than the logo itself. The justification and the reasoning behind it is far greater than the actual output.
Because the way you work, you've got to show that you really understand who they are and what they're doing, and sometimes maybe even challenge who they think they are.
Yes. And
what they're actually showing.
It's sort of like having to hold a mirror up to somebody sometimes, and sometimes that can be really uncomfortable as well. And it's sort of like, you know, I don't like calling it a pitch. I hate it. It's more like, what's the story before a story called? Is it the prologue? That's what that is. It's the story before the story happens. And like I said, that is a massive, massive part of their journey. I'm not like Paul O'Shea. Like, I'm not a world-renowned designer that could be brought to a table who could instantly draw something like, you know, the City bank logo. She did it on a napkin in 30 seconds. It was like, that is it. That is what that will be. Because she knew already. Sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes it takes weeks and it's exhausted. But sometimes like, yeah, well, it's obvious it's that. But she had 30 years of experience that allowed her to do it in 30 seconds. And that's what you charge for, if that makes sense. But yeah, man, it's it's fucking brutal sometimes.
And you said, you know, quite openly and honestly that, you know, you have quieter periods. You know, this is one challenge of being a business owner. I mean, I've definitely been through them. So before Loft 112, I was in private events, predominantly weddings, which is seasonal. So I can remember getting to, you know, end of October and looking, going, not much coming in between now and springtime, you know, and thinking, right, how do I continue, obviously alongside my wife, but putting food on the table for a family of 5, and you're thinking, wow, okay, this has really got to stretch. But you know, you have been really honest about, you know, that side of the business. Do you think sometimes that can then put too much pressure on business owners to maybe chase certain things like content trends, and also fake it till they make it as well, and you know, make it look like they're doing better than what they are?
Yeah, 100%. But I think businesses of all sizes do that anyway. I mean, like, not to pull too far away from the question, but like, if you look at OpenAI at the moment, like for every like dollar that they bring in, I think it costs them like between 3 and 10. That's excruciatingly bad for a business of that scale as well. And you know, they'll either figure it out or they won't. Do you know what I mean? But on the smaller side of it, yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people, it's all positioning. Anything you post online is positioning. And for some people that could look like, hey, look, we're here and we're having a great time, and they turn around and they're, you know, crying. And because it's, you know, it's a snapshot of a day. And for other people, it's chasing the wrong clients. For someone like, I'm guilty of that. I've picked up client work that I just never should have touched, and it was not me at all. And I guess it's having the resolve to say no to things when you're under that pressure as well, because I think that's a massive thing. That, you know, I won't name any names or anything, but I was offered a job, and it was in the tobacco adjacent industry, and I'm like, I'm not fucking touching that. That's everything I'm against. I could never touch that. But when you've got like nothing in your bank and payday is just hurtling towards you and the bills are hurtling towards you, like, oh man, it's a strong story. No money, need money, money's here.
It's the reality of owning a business, isn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, and look, again, like I say, like Giovanna, my partner, is an absolute godsend, because she's like, look, it will come. And it's that sort of stuff. So I think, yeah, the pressures are massive on business owners, and I do think when it comes to content, it's very easy to just go, come, come. But I'm a massive believer that the longer that you give stuff away for free for, the bigger the ask can be when you finally ask for something back. If I gave people free design information for 10 years and said, hey, I'm releasing a book, by that point, I would presume I would have a larger audience. That's a given, but a trusting audience that would be like, yeah, man, why wouldn't I? Whereas if I go, I'm skint, I've made a book, people are like, and see ya. Like it's that. So yeah, I think content mistakes are going to happen because the humans, man.
And I think one of the things that drew me to invite you onto the podcast as well. So I'm connected with you obviously on Instagram, but also on LinkedIn. You're very outspoken, which I think is refreshing, especially on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because LinkedIn one wants to stand out without putting the head
Facebook
above
with a
it.
tie on.
Yeah.
Shit.
How do you think that works with your business? Maybe being a little bit more risky in your approach to things, challenging things. How does that work with your business? And also, how do you bring that into your content?
But you could say it's a risk, but you've invited me on this podcast for that reason. So it's not and if you've invited me, it means that you buy into that. And if you buy into that, it means you're the right person that I'll be speaking to. If you hated it, I could get it. Some people don't like swearing. Couldn't give a shit. Like that's my stance.
That's your response.
Yeah, because I'm a cerebral person. I can talk at a very high intellectual level, but I could also speak in prose. I can say yeah, Sam, what's up? Do you know what I mean? I can speak like that, but I could also tell you I don't need to speak colloquially. I can speak formally if I need to. So it's fine. But if a 4-letter word scares you, fine. We're probably not going to get on. I don't think that's a problem. And when it comes to content, like I said, it's refreshing and it cuts through. Sometimes a bit too sharp, maybe. Maybe it's something acerbic for some people. It might be a bit acidic, but I guess the sweet irony of it all is that my business is sort of positioning into helping CICs, charities, social enterprises, not known for swearing. But I think there's something in that. I think that actually they've probably approached the people that are like, hi, we're, Fluffy Design Limited. If they exist, I'm really sorry. But they've tried it a million times and maybe they're not that person. And maybe, you run a charity, but you still swear at somebody when you cut you up in traffic. You're a human being. So I don't really care. Yeah. It sounds ridiculous. And obviously I care about my business success, but how I convey who I am and what I am, I'm the only version of me there is. That's why would there be anything different? That doesn't make sense to me.
And do you think your personality comes across really strongly in your actual representation of your brand as well? No, I don't think it does. And I think I'm quite purposeful with that. I think I do want to separate sort of church from state if that makes sense. I want to make sure that my brand has its voice and I have my voice, because I think it's important. If someone understands actually that the person that's at the helm of Pretty Decent is an outspoken, I would hopefully say smart but outspoken person, but the brand itself can operate on a level that sort of is completely different, then they understand that I know what I'm on about because I can do that. But yeah, to answer your question, no, it doesn't. No, and I'm quite purposeful with that. The whole rebrand was the purpose behind that was to allow people to understand that it's always going to be a cooperative process, and that I'm so grateful for the people that have trusted me with their branding that I'm going to trust them with mine. You talk about how often brands can outgrow how they actually are as a business. Just talk me through your thinking on that.
Okay, yeah. You got an ex-girlfriend from when you were 17?
Yeah.
Do they think of you in a good way?
There's
the answer.
I hope so, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I hope so.
What a horrible question to ask to prove the point. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that, when we're younger, we make mistakes, right? There'll be some people in your life that will feel maybe a bit chastised by some of the actions that you took when you were younger, right? Is that the same version of you now? But hopefully not.
No,
right?
yeah.
So that's true with brand too. So who you are when you start off in your spare room in your house is completely different to who you are when you've got a 20-man team. Why would you keep the same logo? Why would the brand still? You're a completely different company. And also, when I started, I'd be happy to work in industries like fenestration, like windows and glazing, or God, concrete, you know what I mean? Just to get money through the door. But when you start to establish yourself, you go, why am I doing this? Which is like saying, why are we doing this? It's like, oh yes, I want to do something for me, but I also wanted to feel good about what I do. What is it that makes me feel good about what I do? Oh yes, it's helping people that are disadvantaged or forgotten or haven't been illuminated enough. Let's help them. And when that happens, you have to change how you look and you have to change how you speak and present yourself. When somebody walks in with a suit on, they don't go, oh, God, nice shirt. So you might do, but mostly people go, hey, looks like he's put together well. Pretty confident guy. Because of how they present themselves. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
Let's say someone reaches out and they want you to review their brand from the visual side of it, the website, and you're very keen on, like I say, identifying when brands have outgrown what they're currently working with.
Yeah.
What would be the first signs of you being able to recognise that's where they're currently at the moment?
Well, it probably come after the conversation. So, you start talking to somebody and they'll normally there's like a sentence that they'll say and you'll be like, oh man, that's everything that you are. That is clearly like, and you can re-reference that later on and go, so you mentioned this, let's say, you want to help sort of disadvantaged children, for example, or, a company I worked for before, you're saying that you want to help children that are at risk of falling out of school. That's probably the biggest thing about you. So why do you look like a manufacturing company from 1954? That doesn't make any sense. And that's sort of it. You sort of try and pull out the key strands. And sometimes it's actually what they don't say. So I've got a questionnaire and a worksheet that we go through during the session. And if they can answer something like quick, that's great. But when they stumble, that tells me that's a massive gap for them because they've not thought about it enough. And then that's where I start to dig in. And then I can use that information and feed back to the things they answered really quickly to cross-reference and go, actually, were they right with their, when they, how people will say, we want to serve X people doing this, the corporate answer. When I get something real, I will come back and say, so you've mentioned this, which is quite human and quite heavy. Can you answer this again? And I'll just see if it lines up. And normally they don't. And then it means that we go back through the worksheet and we get better answers because we found something that was real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah. And I think the other thing as well is, again, when you first meet a client, because I want to stay on this kind of topic a little bit, because I think your initial meeting, the conversation is quite deep, because that will help you get through that, what could be a painful creative process. Yeah. So the more information you get out at that point helps ease that a little bit. Yeah. So when you first meet a client, do you tend to lean more towards looking at how the brand looks or how the business is perceived?
The perception is after the fact. The most successful brands are the ones where the perception and the intended perception align more often than not. So if, not to requote someone that I heard earlier today, but, if I said to you, fast food, probably, a giant M might appear in your head. 100%.
Right? Like so you can read my mind.
The point is that there's an alignment there between an idea that you have and that. And it's fascinating. And so I don't really talk about perception in terms of where they're at, because where they're at and what they're perceived as is absolutely irrelevant to me at that point in time. What I'm more interested about is, what do you do? Why do you do it? Because then that's the goal of perception. We can then re-engineer that gold dust into, okay, well, how do we get you to this perception then? And how far away can we get it? And, bigger budgets would allow me to do like group tests and stuff like that. But even then, people that know they're in a group test will change their answers anyway. So they're useless.
And I think if you don't mind me asking this, and if you don't want it, we can cut it out. But I know one of the, I'll call it a case study, but I know one of the cases of clients that you worked with most recently is Stay on the Ball.
Yeah.
Which, on the surface level is football coaching, but the why they do it and what they do meant something a lot deeper to you as a dad, first and foremost, rather than actually as, business to business.
It was one of the classic cases of, you start the process to go, well, why do you do what you do? It's like, we really care about technical detail in football. Yeah, cool. Why do you care? Oh, well, because, we want to help people succeed. Why? Oh, because this happened or this didn't happen when I was younger. Okay. So you're trying to protect people from that. Cool. So are we selling football training, or are we selling confidence in a bag? I think it's the second one. And then we sort of talk about that and sort of wrangle with it. And, you know, that's for me, that's one of my favourite logo marks, because what happens is you have that initial discussion, and then I write the brief. I would never allow someone else to write the brief for me, because the brief will typically be wrong anyway. A coherent brief is the most important thing to a designer or for any creative. So once we've had that session, I've sort of wrangle with it for a bit, and then I write the brief, and essentially the goal is to smile was the name of the brief. And that actually ends up being the logo, because if you look at that logo crest, it looks like a shield, like a standard shape of a shield.
Which is often seen in football.
Yeah. But it's been separated by a line, separated vertically, and you get a goal at the top and a smile at the bottom. And it was just like one of the nicest moments of it. But I did that 5 minutes into the meeting.
So in regards to like the brief that you're just talking about there with Stay on the Ball, the service that they're selling is football coaching, whether that be one-to-one or group, but the actual reality of it is it's confidence.
Yeah.
And from that, you've then built a visual look in regards to the logo, the website. How does that then carry on into their social media presence?
So what I'd done, I'd built a brand system for them as well. So start on the ball, stay on the ball. We then looked at expanding that out to coach on the ball, so they could teach how to coach. Schools on the ball, so they could help schools, you know, deliver PE provision, wraparound care, and they needed a basically brand architecture around that, and that was done simply through colour. So saying like, you know, stay on the ball was green, start on the ball is purple, schools on the ball is red, and coach on the ball was blue. As an example, that is the reality. It's not an example. And then what I'd done is I'd built out a bunch of shapes. So one was the smiley face, another was a goalpost, one was a circle for football, a star, and then I made a pattern out of that. And then that then informs that this is part of the same thing, and you can move them across. It's a very easy trick. I mean, it's one of those things where like a designer will know what I'm talking about. If they listen to the podcast now, they'll be like, yeah, standard. Just bang a different colour in, or underline a different colour, and you can product number 1, product number 2, product number 3, all part of the same system. Very easy to marry up. Diet Coke versus Coke Zero versus full fat Coke. Exactly the same logo, slightly different colour variation, done. It's really simple for me, but on the face of it, if you're a non-designer, which is most people in terms of their profession, they would have no idea that is such a simple solution to what seems like a complex problem. And it just allows them to carry it through content-wise, and it gives them a distinctive look on each post that they put out.
What you do before it actually goes live is only the tip of the iceberg, in the sense that it's a lot of work, but once the brand refresh, or when you create a logo, done a website, a bulk of your work would then start, because it's maintaining it. What's the relationship like between yourself, the clients that you work with, past and present, in regards to once it's actively going live? Do you stay involved with them to make sure that things are still ticking over, it's still working for them, that they're not outgrowing the brand quicker than what they should be?
It's an ongoing thing, really. Like you try to, I mean, just common business sense, you want to have some sort of retainment of income coming through the door. And you also want to ensure that the work that you have done doesn't just get slapped down into and essentially put in a bin because it's not adhered to. The brand guidelines that you've worked tirelessly to do aren't just ignored randomly. It's always going to happen. It's always going to happen. Even if you've got an agency looking after it, it happens because people are human, and especially with designers, they might veer over here, go over here. It's difficult because I'm such a new business. The level of client isn't at that point where they would typically value the ongoing support more than the initial thing. Because it's really easy for someone to go like, I've got a problem, I'll pay some money and then problem solved. That's really nice and neat and tidy, right? Same thing with like, I've got no money, but then someone's offering me money. Really, it seems like a really like, oh yeah, of course, that's no brainer. The ongoing support is all about opportunity cost at that point. It's more so like smoke and mirrors for them, because for them, they'll just see it as like, oh, they're just trying to sell me the add-ons now. Whereas really, I'm trying to sell you the retainment of what I've just done. we need that to sort of keep its core, because exceptionally quickly, sometimes days later, the brand is already in bits because it's just been handed over to somebody within an internal team or another external person that just doesn't have the same level of care. It's difficult, man. Like, unless you start dealing with SMEs that have got competent marketing budgets that go and they value the work, it's probably just going to happen anyway. It's part of the job. It's a sad part of the job, but it's still something that I'm trying to create a product for that solves that problem for them as well, which is obviously the AI stuff.
And now let's tap into you, like your presence online, your visibility. Like I say, you pretty decent is pretty new. What challenges have you kind of been facing with maybe creating content or getting yourself out there, getting the visibility out there?
Time. And I know that you've heard that a million times, dude. Like, it's when you are wearing 17 different hats as a business owner, pushing stuff out there is exceptionally hard. I do try and make time for it. Like, I've made a handful of videos for LinkedIn where it's talking direct to camera because I think they're just real. The lighting is off. I know lighting's super important. The audio is on point. It should go, I think, audio, lighting, camera quality in that order, right? It's difficult. Like I say, like you've got very little time to do something that's super important for your business, but when everything's urgent, nothing is. So yeah, that, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm piss poor when it comes to actually pumping out content. I should be able to talk for days about the stuff that there are case studies that aren't even on my site yet because I'm busy all the time and there's me and 2 devs. It's busy.
What's your perception of the content that you're seeing out there at the moment? Because you're very much a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And I think you appreciate the art of not only what you do, but of photography and videography. And just based on the conversation, I get that you appreciate that. So where do you think what we're seeing as content at the moment and what's going across social media, where do you think it's at? What do you think works? What's not working?
It's homogenized. It all looks and feels the same. And I think, even just before we started recording, I was looking at my Instagram stats just to see how I did a week-long run of AI posts. So I set up a brand system inside Canva, said, right, you can't stray from this. Make me 7 posts that I can put out across the week for this topic, and go bang, right? So I've done that and I wanted to see the stats. Cool, looks at the stats. But inside the settings was a trending thing. Little option for trending, like trending audio, trending themes, right? That's shit. Because what that tells people is that if you do the same as everyone else, we'll bump you up. That's fucking horrendous for business owners. But if you are not a designer or you're not in tune to how algorithms work, or it's basically algorithm versus brand at this point. Because it's like, do you supersede your brand for the algorithm? Do you see what I mean? Like, and the answer should always be fuck no. Just make your content, make it real, make it you, and eventually your audience will find you. And when they do, they'll be glad they did. But if you stray away from that, they wouldn't give a toss. It's
the whole thing of, are we serving the algorithm or is the algorithm serving us? It's slipping down the route that we're serving the algorithm. We're producing content to suit that rather than actually this is what we want to produce, this is what our audience want to see. Make that the thing that you're then showing people.
Do you pay for Instagram?
I do actually have a verified account.
You got a verified account,
I'm a verified account.
Your private profile, do you pay for it?
My personal one, no.
So you're the product, right? So of course you are. Because if everybody went, do you know what? I'm not going to put anything on here. Instagram dies instantly. And they'll pull you in with the idea of monetization. That's shit. Like, you remember the old 40s nuclear family era of advertisers, oh, come on to try the wish wash powder. Like, that is what influencer marketing is in a nutshell. It's endorsement of a product, and they're using their clout and their sort of legitimacy as a human being to sell their product. It's like writing a Google review for a local restaurant and owning it yourself. Like, it's washed by the company themselves. It doesn't feel right. It feels icky. And I think people understand that. And the best influencers do it on such a low level way that it sort of slips past you. But even then, it's like smoke and mirrors. Like, for me, it should be like, okay, just help us out. Like, if you want to sell what you're doing to me, just solve the problem. If I have that problem, I'll I'll buy from you. If I don't, I don't want to.
Obviously, there's a big thing about AI, and you've touched on it there with AI, and you've ran a few kind of tests with it to see. Do you feel like there is a threat that AI has on the craft that you do at the moment?
No. Like, graphics tablets exist, yeah? We still fucking buy pencils. What are we on about? Like, it's the same thing. The difference is that what AI does is that it takes things away. It takes away cost. That's the biggest thing with AI. And the best way I can describe this is that it will always take away cost, but it won't be able to create. It can't create from new, right? Neither can I. Originality is an absolute myth. I can only reference from things I've ever seen in my life, in which case am I plagiarizing or am I referencing? There's a very thin line, right? With AI, if you just use it as a measure of creating because you want to cut costs, you are going to suffer. If you use it as a way to amplify your creative thinking, I think you will prosper. If you go into Tesco Express or any sort of shop, or go to the sort of self-checkout till, if there is no one on the checkout over there and it's 10 self-checkouts, I'm pissed off because the choice has been removed from me, right? Somebody in a suit somewhere said, if we put 10 of them in there, your staff can do the stocking of the shelves all the time. They'll serve themselves. We've just saved ourselves so much money by not having somebody sat at a desk, right? Cost efficiency, we've saved money. What was the cost to the customer journey? Was that ever considered? No, it wasn't. And somebody in a suit, a consultant, got away with that because nobody ever thought to measure what was the cost of their actual interaction with somebody. So that's the fear with AI, is that actually we sort of zombie walk into this like weird homogenous visual world in the name of cost cutting. Well, I'm sorry, but art and design don't give a shit about efficiency because that's not what it's about. There's a human cost to everything that's created. When you remove that, you get the slop. But if there was still something in there that was human, you can feel it. You know, if you did 50 drawings, right, whatever they look like, a Jackson Pollock, for example, if you are Jackson Pollock and you did all the paintings, the crazy ones, right, and then you digitized them and then you put them into AI and it gave you 1,000 more, who has he plagiarized? Himself? Or did he use the system to create more of the same thing? And what if you referenced that to make more stuff? What if you said, what happens if I do this with this? All you're doing is helping the iteration process. I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely fine. And I think that the day-to-day output of stuff should slowly disappear from designers anyway. Nobody wants to pay an agency 400 quid for a leaflet. Nobody wants to do it. It's expensive and it's slow. That's not what small businesses can afford. They can't afford the time or the money. So they get nailed twice for it. And I'm speaking as a designer and an agency owner. What they should sort of have, or what we could probably utilize with AI, is can we build a coherent brand system that they can use AI to guide them to create their own leaflet that doesn't break the system that a designer still made in the first place? And I think that's the reasonable adjustment, I think, to an industry that needs to exist.
One brand you think shows up really well and why?
Audi. Oh, they fucking smash it, man. Like they consistently understand culture and they sort of bed into it. In the fact that when they had the Lewis Capaldi concert on top of an Audi, smashed it. The whole thing with like Colin the Caterpillar versus is it the M&S one?
Yeah,
smashed it. Like they just
Audi versus M&S.
They smash it every time, and it's sort of like I think Aldi's like the UK's version of Wendy's in America that will consistently shit on all their customers for fun. It's okay, but then Ryanair jumped on it, and then the more and more people, it sort of dilutes their thing. But Audi understands English culture or British culture and really like nails it.
So when you gave the story about the Stormzy post and you put about, you know, if you got no bars, that to me was very Audi, like your response, because that's the kind of stuff that they do really well in regards to, like, you know, they'll do that kind of tongue-in-cheek, like a little bit naughty, but everyone goes, you know, hats off to you, that was smart. So you probably should have been working on their marketing stuff at the time.
Well, that's what started the whole thing off, right? But I think that ultimately maybe, you know, his brand guidelines of tone of voice or whatever just didn't fit that. But it definitely wasn't, can we try and be an embarrassing dad fucking dinner party? That was not in the guidelines.
Last one, most overrated thing in branding?
Fucking sans serif fonts. Like, chill the fuck out, man. Like, how many times could I ever see like a flat font? There's that. Yeah, I'm gonna end it with that because I'll end up going in a massive half an hour rant about typography, and no one needs to fucking hear that. Yeah, just sans serif fonts are everywhere.
Cool. And the last question, because I always have to ask it, how are you feeling about your content right now?
Oh, dog shit. Absolutely, it's piss poor, man. It's so bad. Like I said, there's the reason why I lent into AI. It was like, look, if we could figure out how to use this effectively and it doesn't ruin what I've made, there's a very promising future for at least a certain type of content, which is sort of the static stuff. When I do make videos, I'm very happy with them because I'm unapologetically me. But on the whole, oh God, no. I'll tap you up after.
So I don't think it is dog shit. I think it's, like you say,
then I won't contact you.
It's you. It's, again, we use this term a lot, but it's authentic. You're not trying to be anything you're not, or trying to fit into the algorithm. So I think it works. There's maybe the balance we have as founders is being more consistent with it. I think we all had that. But if anyone wants to go and check out your website, what you do, how you do it, and your content, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, so it's prettydecent.co.uk, and then the handle for Instagram is prettydecent with 3 T's because, it's a good handle. And the same is true with LinkedIn. It's just pretty decent.
Brilliant. All right. Well, Chris, thanks again. Like I said, I've had my eye on you for a while, and like your little rants that you have and stuff. Yeah, I've been creep on you for a while. Just a little rants. I thought, you know what? It's nice to have a refreshing conversation, an angle where someone's not trying to tick a box and they just go, no, this is my thoughts. Throw in the odd swear word. I don't mind that. But it's been brilliant having that chat with you, and hopefully the audience will take something from that and learn something about their own kind of branding and how they can make that a little bit more honest with how they represent themselves online as well.
Yeah, man.
Brilliant. Is that all right? Yeah.
It's about it, really.
Really hope you enjoyed this episode of Feeling Content Podcast. If you did, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and we'll see you next month.